Welcome to episode number 645 of Let There Be Talk, brought to you by my podcast network, cactusradionetwork.com. You can find all of my shows on the network absolutely free, including At Home with Byron Katie, Dark Fonzie, The Grail, and Let There Be Talk. Check it out, cactusradionetwork.com. Welcome aboard today. We have a vocalist, a songwriter, a metal master, a king of rock and roll. Oh, I could go on and on. Graham Bonnet is here today. And if you don't know who that is, you definitely know the songs that he sang over the years, especially in Rainbow with All Night Long and Since You've Been Gone. Big staples on the FM dial and Sirius XM right now. Non-stop, you hear those songs. But he had the great Michael Schenker era, and then, of course, Alcatrazz with Yngwie. He's played with all the insane guitar players, and he is still going at 74 years old. He has a brand new solo record coming out this week, May 13th, called Day Out Nowhere, on Frontiers Music, and there's a video right now that you could see for an incredible song, very Michael Schenker era sounding, which is great, called Imposter. So that is who is here today. Oh man, so many great stories. He talks about writing songs in the early days with the Bee Gees, and that's how he gets his whole career going. Unbelievable. There's an excellent Yngwie Malmsteen fight story. You can't go wrong. And a great Cozy Pal story. So this is a fantastic day for Let There Be Talk. I've always loved this man's voice and his songwriting. I want to give a shout out to my Patreoners. I've got a Patreon, and I will be doing a bonus episode tomorrow where I will be talking about the show I just did opening for Bill Burr at the LA Forum and my Netflix shoot. So that's all going to be on there, which has been an insane week in my brain. I don't think I've worked this hard my whole life of getting ready for the Netflix thing and just grinding and writing jokes and getting on stage. This whole week was the Netflix is a Joke festival, and it was an honor to be part of it. I mean, it felt so good to be in there with some of the greats like Burr and Jimmy Carr and Dave Attell. And it was just mind-boggling, man, to be part of this. And all these venues, the Comedy Store, the Hollywood Improv, the Laugh Factory. It was a great week, and it wound down last night with a big party at the Comedy Store. So tune into my Patreon and catch the bonus episode, patreon.com/Dean Del Rey. And I also will be doing a live Zoom, which I do every week with the Patreoners, and that'll be happening tonight, Monday, the 9th. Tour dates this week, I'm going to be in Sacramento with Bill Burr, Fresno, and the Oakland Arena. You can get the info on DeanDelRey.com. There's also a lot of merch on there. I've got the T-shirts and hoodies on there, DeanDelRey.com. Tour dates and merch. I hope to see you guys out there on the road. I'm also coming to Portland soon, Vancouver, Washington, and where else? Calgary. So, excited about that. Man, just trying to work, trying to grind, trying to get on stage. And I can't thank you guys enough for tuning into the podcast every week. Last week's episode was smoking. Dave Stewart, congrats to him. Right before I interviewed him, he was nominated to get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And the day I dropped the episode, we found out that he was inducted. So he is now a Rock and Roll Hall of Famer with the great Annie Lennox and Eurythmics. So congratulations to you, my friend, and thank you for doing the show. A lot of great guests coming up, a lot of great guests. And the show just feels very much alive here in the 10 years I've been doing it. So thank you guys. Please leave a review on iTunes and YouTube. Subscribe on both of those for all kinds of content. Candles are lit right now. Let's get into it. The man is here, Graham Bonnet. Well, look who we got here today, the legend himself, Mr. Graham Bonnet. How are you, buddy?
I'm okay, but a legend already? Good grief. Doesn't that happen when you're dead?
Well, how old are you, Graham?
I'm okay. I'm doing fine. Been very busy this week doing a few interviews about, the new album, the new Graham Bonnet Band album. And it's been very, very good. It has some great comments on the tracks and et cetera, et cetera. So I'm very happy about everything right now.
Where are you at? Do you live in the UK or the States?
No, I'm in Los Angeles. I've been here since '79.
Wow.
Yes, I'm an American citizen and all that, and I have an American accent, as you can hear, which comes along with the passport. But no, it's I moved over to the East Coast first of all. I lived on Long Island for about a year. Then my ex-wife and I decided it was too freaking cold in the winter time, and the dog didn't like it either. So we moved over here because some of our crew did, and so thought, well, we'll move over here too. And I was very happy about that.
Where did you land in LA? And that was right when you get into Rainbow, you moved to the States. So where do you land in LA?
It's LAX.
Yeah, I know that. But what area were you living in? Were you hanging out at the Rainbow and the whiskey?
No, we went to, we lived in so many different places, Woodland Hills, Thousand Oaks. We're moving constantly. We ended up in the last place I lived, is in Calabasas, Santa Clarita. Santa Clarita is where my kids are right now. The last place I lived was Santa Clarita. So I've been all over the place with, when you have kids, they like to move around and, things change and you have to move around. So Santa Clarita was the last place I lived before I lived here in Studio City.
Let me get into it. So early on, you were way into R&B. You're an R&B singer, and then you join Rainbow, of course, and your whole direction and your life changes into rock and roll. Let's talk a little bit about that early days. I sang for many, many years. Who were your guys growing up? Who were the singers for you?
Oh, I liked people like Little Richard when I was a kid, obviously. Buddy Holly, all the very obvious ones, But, when the Beatles came along when I was at school, they sort of influenced me. I realized you didn't have to sing that great to actually make great songs. I think the Beatles opened the doors for a lot of people who wanted to be in music, but they thought they weren't quite good enough, which I always thought I wasn't anyway. I always thought this was going to be a hobby. But, I would say, later on, I always look back at people like Little Richard and, Buddy Holly for the songs. But that vocal sound that Little Richard had was something I always wanted that never could develop as a young kid. I just didn't have that kind of throat, But he was the person I've always looked up to as probably one of the best rock and roll singers around. The way he could bend notes, and his voice was so fluid, I don't know if anybody else likes him, but it's just one of the originals. And what can I say? Yeah, really,
some of that stuff, where he gets into the falsetto and stuff, it's just mind boggling,
Yeah.
Where he can get into that, woo, that's.
Yeah. His voice is so flexible, and he does little trills, like triplets and things in his voice. It's just amazing. Very clever man. And unfortunately, he's gone now. And I never got to meet him. I wish I had.
Do you remember? Because I remember when I started out as singing, I remember the neighborhood, they needed a singer. Everybody was a guitar player and everything. But you remember how nerve-wracking it was the first time you're standing in front of a mic and your voice is amplified. It's so naked and raw, especially if they solo it up in a studio. Let's check this note real quick. It's so weird for years to get used to your own voice. Am I right on that?
Yeah, really, because I remember the first time I recorded professionally, let's say, was back in 1968. My cousin and I were called the Marbles, Marbles, and Barry Gibb, the Bee Gees, they wrote songs for us.
Wow.
My cousin used to be in the Bee Gees when he was a kid.
What?
So that's how we sort of all met up because of what happened was we were playing in the club in London and my cousin was in the band, and in the audience just happened to be the Bee Gees ex-manager. He came up to my cousin Trevor and said, I'm sure the boys would like to meet you, Barry, Robin and Morris, and see you again after all these years. And so my cousin moved in from Australia like the Bee Gees did. And so he got the telephone number, called them up, and he went over to their house, and he said to them, my cousin sings too, that's me. And so over I went next night or a couple of nights later, and we sat down with acoustic guitars singing like Stevie Wonder stuff and the Beach Boys and the Beatles and whatever you like. And Robert Stigwood, the manager of the Bee Gees, just happened to come into the room, and he said to Barry, Barry, do you have a song for these boys? And before we knew it, we're in like the studio and put under the microscope, as we're talking about the microphone, how it's very scary sometimes. And so we went into the studio with Barry and I think it was Barry and Robin, and we had this la la chorus, this la la song. No, it goes like this, So it was me just going dee 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 dee, whatever. And I realized that I got to use the microphone in certain. I had to stand back a lot of the time. So they were saying I always got that thing where. Graham, you're too close to the microphone. Could you go back another 10 feet? That was always happening with me. So, but after a while, you get used to that technique of, I should be here, for certain parts of where your voice is coming from. Obviously, the louder bits, you have to stand back a little, but not too far, because you'll get completely lost. But mic technique is something you learn over the years, especially live. There's those times when you have to kind of eat the fucking microphone. You don't. It's not a good thing, but it's sort of you have to do that, and you learn. It's just experience. And I was sort of when I first heard the recording of what we did with the Gibb brothers, I was just amazed. I thought, "Fucking hell, is that me?" I couldn't believe what I'd sung. And everybody's jumping around, and I would say, "What? That's amazing! That's amazing!" And the record we made went to number 3 in the charts in England.
Wow.
So we did pretty good. And but it was never released in America. That's what I was always pissed off about. Wow. It was never released here, but we do that song in our set once in a while now. And people say, what is that song you sing? And it's called Only One Woman. I say, what is that? That kind of bluesy R&B song. Nobody knows it here, but it's a great song to put into the set because it's kind of very sort of emotional, and it's a slower song. It's not sort of, we're not doing all that all the time, all that. and it surprises people sometimes, and they think, well, what the fuck is he doing singing a fucking ballad, whatever. But that isn't the reaction. We get a really good reaction from the crowd because they come up and ask, what is that song? And I tell them the story of the Bee Gees, and that's the only reason I got into the business is because of my cousin and the relationship he had with the Bee Gees. Suddenly, I was part of that troupe. I became great friends with the guys, and I wish I could get in touch with Barry now. I haven't seen him for years, but that's how I started. If it wasn't for the Bee Gees, I wouldn't be here.
It's incredible, man. I mean, I've been a Bee Gees fan most of my life, and their career is just mind-boggling from folk to kind of country-ish and then into the disco. And it's so insane that some people don't even know they had this career in the 60s, and all of that. And their manager was gold, which is so rare. You get a manager like a Peter Grant or Stigwood, these guys that are just like, this is the group. I mean, that guy stuck with them after their dad, their dad was the first guy that was killing.
That's right. Absolutely.
And, it's insane, man. It's insane. Let's talk a little bit about, so you're playing in the Marbles, you got a number 3 song and you're out touring around and stuff. And then eventually that fizzles. How does Ritchie Blackmore come into the picture?
Well, it's because of the song that me and my cousin recorded. They were the band Rainbow was in sort of Switzerland, France, on the border of both countries at this chateau, recording the album that became Down to Earth. And they were playing the game, and Cozy said, "Okay, we're going to put this. Who's this guy? Who's this guy? Who's this guy?" And Ritchie said, "What's happened to? Where's this guy now?" That was me singing this freaking song. And they said, "Well, Roger's working with a friend of his who was Mickey Moody in England." So Mickey Moody gave Roger Glover my number, and I got a call from Roger Glover to say, "Would you come over and do an audition for the band? We're looking for a singer." We've already auditioned. I think it was 80 singers they looked at.
Wow.
Yeah, fucking hell. So I very nervously went over there because I didn't know who Rainbow was. I had no idea, no clue. I didn't know who Ritchie Blackmore was. I knew who Roger Glover was because of his work with Mickey Moody and sort of Deep Purple-ish days. And so I went over and sang this song at them, which was called Mistreated, which was, I think, was a Deep Purple song. And anyway, I'm doing this thing, and they gave me the job. Wow. And that's how that happened. Wow. But if it wasn't for the Bee Gees, that song would never have been recorded. So it was kind of a domino effect. All of a sudden, I find out that these guys in this so-called heavy rock band liked my singing and that particular tune, So thanks, Barry Gibb.
Hold on, Graham. I got to do a quick little read here. All right, everybody. Let me tell you something. I've been wearing some hoodies lately. Ever since I got my neck surgery, I wanted to feel comfortable, wanted to still look good, find something that was, a go-to every day. So I'm rocking hoodies, and no better brand than Buck Mason. I'm telling you, man, Buck Mason is all I'm wearing right now. Shirts, sweaters, jeans. It is the goods, man. Buck Mason's clothing are second to none. They're timeless and never go out of style. Classic t-shirts and hoodies and jeans. That's always my go-to. Everything fits great right out of the box. Buck Mason makes all the essentials. Jeans, shirts, jackets. Get on it. I'm telling you, I love it. It looks great. It fits great. The curved hem t-shirt is fantastic. That's what I've been wearing. Just a blank black t-shirt. GQ loves it so much they called it the best t-shirt in the game. Here is what they're going to do for you guys, the Let There Be Talkers, the Del Raisers. You're going to get a free t-shirt with your first order. Go to buckmason.com/Delray to get a free t-shirt with your first order. That's free. These shirts, man, that's a great deal. To get a free shirt, buy a hoodie or something, you got a free t-shirt, you're good to go. I wear the same stuff every day. So, yeah, that's all I need. buckmason.com/Delray, Delray. Get with it. Look good. Classic. Not crazy money. Good deals. Get on it. All right.
Thank you.
I do think a lot of the UK metal and hard rock, what made them great was a soulful R&B type of vocal. I mean, Since You've Been Gone is could be an R&B song, that kind of thing. All Night Long. Those are kind of R&B, kind of rock and roll flavor. Yeah. So if it was just a screamer, it wouldn't have probably worked so much. I think that was the type of thing that was going on, because people were into Cream and all of that. And that was heavily R&B influenced, obviously.
Oh yeah.
It's wild to think about you played with three of the greatest guitar players and three of probably the weirdest dudes in rock. Of all time, I mean, Ritchie, really? Yngwie, and Michael, which is wild. What was it like when you were working with Ritchie? Was he different back then than now?
Ritchie had this reputation of being very standoffish and not a very nice guy, whatever. But he was the opposite. He's a very shy person. I'm talking about the fans when they come up to him and say, "Can you sign?" He said, he didn't want to know about signing autographs, things like that. When we actually got on the road, I noticed that. But he was a very private person, kept to himself. Him and his girlfriend. At that time when I joined the band, and he just amazing. When they played this song with me, this Mistreated song, I was just like, do I fit with this? It just sounded too grand and too amazing for me, little Graham from Skegness, Lincolnshire, and from London as well. I felt like, no, this is too good. They're too good. But I got the job, and of course, I carried on with the band and eventually learned how to express myself in that kind of music. And then when, that ended, we're talking about Yngwie Malmsteen. Yngwie was somebody we found, we're looking for, I wanted to put a band together that was sort of like Rainbow, the keyboard thing, that same kind of lineup. And we were looking for a guitar player. I said, I'm looking for a guitar player that's kind of like Ritchie Blackmore. We auditioned, I don't know how many players. I didn't hear them all, but the band did. They sort of rehearsed without me with the, different players. That one day, this kid in a store said, I've heard that Graham's looking for somebody who plays like Ritchie Blackmore. And he said, a friend of mine is just that. He says, a big Ritchie fan. And he's Swedish, blah, blah, blah. He's 19 years old. He looks great. And how about, rehearsing with him? So Yngwie came along, and he was amazing. I wanted him to play not a Rainbow song, not a song that he particularly knew. So I gave him a track to play that was written by Russ Ballard. It's a song called SOS. And, it's not a widdly song, if you know what I mean.
Oh, yeah.
And, so he came in and he played the shit out of it. It was just amazing. Just the way he played on a widdly song, if you will. He was just great, and he was perfect. We just went, yeah, this guy's amazing.
Was Mike Varney involved in that at all? Because I know Mike was the one that found Yngwie and brought him over here to the States. Was he working with him at that time, or what's going on?
No, nobody. He didn't have anybody. He has his own band. He was playing around the clubs in LA. So Mike Varney, no, he had nothing to do with it at all. But I'm glad we found it. The guy is just incredible, but after a while, I thought, because of his attitude changed a lot as we played on. The ego was impossible to fight. It's just too much.
Yeah.
And he had to go. One night, he got hold of my neck and tried to strangle me, which is a great story. Yeah, because I went off stage while he was doing his guitar solo, and I tripped over his cord to his amp, and I didn't know. And I pulled it out, and I'm back at the bus talking to the bus driver, and suddenly Yngwie comes running out, and he says, "You fucking cunt," and he got hold of me and did this, pressed right into my throat with both of his hands, and tried to throttle me and ruin what I have. Any voice in there, And anyway, one of our crew ran over, grabbed him by the neck, and put Yngwie's head under his arm, said, "You fucking touch him again, you're dead."
Wow.
This was a big guy, it was Yugoslavian kid, but really, kind of, hefty looking geezer, so that was the end of that.
That was the end.
That was the end of Yngwie being in Alcatrazz. That was the night he was fired on the bus. So he had to drive home, I remember, back to LA. And it was a very quiet night in the bus. You don't do that to the singer in the band. You don't try and kill him. It's not on. Anyway, but he's a great player and still is, he's still doing great, and all of that is sort of gone now, because I've seen him recently, I'll say about 10 years ago. And it's all fine now. He apologized for what happened. But we all used to get so fucking drunk back then, we didn't, that's how it was. I was drinking like pints and pints of beer every night. And I don't know how I got through it, but without it, I didn't feel safe. It was one of those things. It was a crutch, a Band-Aid.
The thing I loved about you was you had this look. And, if it was the white suit or a leather jacket and the glasses, and you always had this kick-ass hair. You still got great hair. And, and you just came out and, you guys had fucking Island in the Sun and Hiroshima.
Yeah.
And you had this incredible guitar kid, but then your vocals were just so soulful and great. And I followed your career for years. And of course, later with Shanker, I saw you a couple of years ago at that Shanker Fest at the Whiskey.
All right.
Which was also crazy. Speaking of another crazy guy, Michael, he was wild. He's out there like, I am the best. Michael Schenker is the greatest guitar player. His brother stole his vibe and his hats. And this is how he starts the show.
Every night he did that same spiel.
It was unreal.
Why is he doing this? He looks pretty stupid. And my brother tries to copy my image and everything. And you're going, Michael, shut the fuck up and just play the bloody guitar.
Yeah.
But he is a character. He is a character.
Yeah.
He's always the thing he's got now is looking after his weight. So he's as skinny as fuck. And his rider in his dressing room is. I think it's a bratwurst or something, some sausagey thing, little slice of that, and some hot sauce, and a Coke, I believe. That was all for him. So he wants to keep slim and all that, all the rest of it. While we had in our dressing room, all the shit, the bar was there and all the rest of the food, lots of cheese. And I remember, it's always lots of cheese. But he is a character, and what a great player. What a fucking great player.
Oh my God. It's funny because when you think about how great this guy is, it is mind boggling.
Yeah.
As soon as you hear Shanker, it's like Shanker. It's insane. And, when you played with him, Desert Song, which Def Leppard covered, which was wild. Did you get money from that? Like, did that put a boost into your...
No.
No.
I didn't know Def Leppard covered that.
Oh, dude, they covered Desert Song.
Shit.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Like,
that's a surprise.
Yeah, it was like a record of like B-sides and outtakes and stuff. And it was funny because when it came on, I was like, man, I recognize this song. I know this song. And then my buddy goes, dude, that's the Shanker song, Graham Bonnet. And I go, it is, man. It was unreal, man. Unreal. Just how it's funny because you had Desert Song, but then you had I was looking at Dancer, and I was like, what is going on here? It was so different. And then you got Samurai, So when you're doing that record, was there a lot of pressure from the labels? Like, we got to get a radio hit?
Yeah, I think so, a little bit. That's when Dancer came around, because that was the commercial one, if you will. And it has a nice story to it. It's about Tony Basil, the dancer, and I met her years and years ago, back in 1970, 74 or 75, something like that, when I first came over to LA on a trip. And my ex-wife was doing a comedy show, but that's all. But I met her on that. She had her dancers with her, who were called the Lockers, and she used to do all these strange movements, which are incredible. And she was working on the Cassius Clay circuit. He was doing the fighting, Muhammad Ali, him. So she opened up for a boxer, which is kind of weird, but that's what she did. And so I wrote this song about her, because I met her and I sort of knew a little bit about, not much, but a little bit about her. And I read some of the reviews on her record, Mickey. Oh, Mickey, it's a pity you don't, that. So I took little snippets of what the guy thought about her singing, stuff like that, but did it my own way and wrote the words about her. That's her story. And it's that song's great. I love that song. I really do. I love the harmony on it, and it was really great to do it with the other singers in the Michael Shanker show. It was great to have them sing along with me on that particular tune. It was great fun. Yeah, proud of it.
Yeah, man. That was a great night to see you down there at the Whiskey, because you didn't get the tour. Obviously you were out after the one gig with Shanker back in the day. So it was great to see you up there. And when you came on, I was like, wow, there he is. He looks dynamite,
Well, thank you.
Let's talk about the lyric writing. Do they come quick for you, or is it hard to write lyrics? I always found that the choruses came quick, but then I had to figure out what I was writing about.
Yeah, that's you sometimes get a title, which is going to be the chorus, right? And then you go, oh, yeah, I'm going to do that. That's that. Okay, I've got the fucking chorus. Now, what's the song about? I mean, like, with Dancer, I knew what that was going to be about. I knew Dancer was about Tony Basil. And sometimes you get a title that sounds really good and you think, oh, that'd be fantastic. But what can I write the bloody thing about? I had, when I was in Jet to Jet, when I was in Alcatrazz, I thought Jet to Jet, what would that be about? And, I eventually, I know what it's about. I got an idea about that. But the title itself really pulls you in, like, Jet to Jet, Jet. It pulls you in because you want what it's about. What does that mean? And I like to find titles, if I can, about something that go, what? I wonder what that song's about, where you get a bit inquisitive about what the story is. And I try to do always a story in the song. It's like country music, if you will, it's what I always used to call the thinking man's heavy metal, So if you really are into the music, listen to the story too. And a lot of people really liked what I did. And I thought I would get, poo-pooed a lot of the time. I thought, well, I'm getting too serious. They want what I'm talking about here. It's not like we're not talking about Dungeons and Dragons and, fantasy. I'm talking about real life. And will that really interest the public that was buying Alcatrazz records? I didn't know, and I thought I'd taken a wrong turn probably. But when the album was done with Yngwie playing guitar, there was no doubt it was going to do something, and it certainly did. Especially in Japan, we got a gold record there and all the rest of it. It's fantastic, and we got a small audience here.
What a great band name, Alcatrazz. I mean, I'm sure you've been to Alcatrazz before, but it's I think Alcatrazz is one of the craziest places on earth. When you take the boat ride out there and you think about the people that sat in there for years looking at paradise, that was part of the torture in their mind of having you look where you couldn't be, and the currents and the deadly, currents and the cold water that would kill you. And then here's this great band name, it's just so good.
Well, that story, the Island in the Sun story, that's about that. But they really think that some of those guys did escape. Those three guys,
Frank Morris.
They really think, they thought they saw them. Well, I saw a documentary, and there was film of these three guys all together at a bar or something, and there was no doubt it was them. When you look at their old pictures and how they look now, it was them. Somehow they did escape. But I think Alcatrazz, whatever, they're a bit embarrassed about these guys actually getting away, because there's supposed to be sharks in there and in that water and the cross currents and all that crap.
Right.
So it's kind of an impossible task to get from A to B, to get to the city from this fucking island. But I really believe they did. And, it's I like that song. I like the story in the song. I don't like singing. Yeah, it's not bad. That was our first single.
Yeah. It's funny. I want to believe that they made it because I did watch the documentary and stuff. But when you see some serious psychological, when people look into the criminal life of these people, they were a lifetime criminal. So they think, well, you do escape, but eventually you do crime again, because you can't just all of a sudden get a job, three guys, and just never do crime again. Kind of interesting thought on that, which would make great lyrics too.
Yeah, I wonder if they did have a normal life after that. I think everybody, the whole world was looking for them probably, know. Yeah. So what happened to them? What happened to them after that? I don't really know. I mean, they're probably dead by now. I don't know that either. But how would they be a normal civilian and go out there and be a bus driver or whatever the hell,
Right.
Without sorry.
There was a guy I read about recently who robbed a bank when he was like 19, just for fun. And then he moved to another state and changed his name and got a new social security number back when you could do that stuff. Then married a woman and had kids and lived a long, long, long life. And on his deathbed, I guess he admitted to robbing this bank, and he wasn't a gangster or anything. He just did it to see if he could do it for fun, like almost a dare. And so he had this secret his whole life. He was a different man.
Oh, that changed his name and the whole thing probably. But I never heard of that. That's interesting.
Yeah.
So I guess somebody got a successful career out of being a fucking criminal. But the Island in the Sun. I mean, we went there a few times. We took some fans over there. We had competitions once in a while. I remember one of the competitions was about how big is the cell? How is the jail cells? It was 9x5. So that's how you've got it. Okay, we used to do all that kind of stuff. We really worked hard at making the band successful. So we tried every gimmick we could use. You know what I mean? To draw people in, and it works pretty well here, but not as good as it did in Japan, for instance, or other places. It was more of a European sound, I think. I don't know what it was, but there's so much competition, with the so-called heavy rock bands, whatever. We never were an A band. We were sort of the B band. We could always open up for somebody, but never really headline.
Well, when you're writing, I don't know, do you write songs on guitar, or do you just write lyrics and melodies, and then that makes you of course, your style would kind of change per guitar player over the years, although all three guitar players are kind of similar, that kind of European metal, do you write on guitar?
Yeah, I do. It's both. We do both. I come up with an idea, on my acoustic or whatever, and play the song to the guitar player usually, and then he will take it to the keyboard player. So that's the way it goes now. We don't all live in one room and record in the same room. Nobody does. It's all done by email, So I play something, and then the guitar player will play it the way he plays. The fancy stuff that I can't do, but I know I've been playing since I was 11 years old. I can play guitar pretty well. Wow. But I'm not a widdly guy. I'm more the straightforward, bluesy stuff. But I've been playing a long time. So I know loads of chords and loads of nice progressions that will make an interesting arrangement. And Conrad, our guitar player in the Graham Bonnet band, he's very much like me. He really likes to take a song where it goes somewhere else. Instead of going straight on, it takes a right turn or a left turn. Suddenly got this piece of, oh, is this the same song? And then it turns around again, and you come back into the part that you recognize from the beginning of the song. You know what I mean? It just makes it more interesting. So, and then I do usually the melody comes first and then the word. Of
course.
But as we were talking about before, maybe if you got a good title, it's a lot easier. But sometimes it's, I've got a great title, but what does that mean? Shit. I mean, there's a song on our album, the new one, that says it's just a freaking song, which is is about that, exactly that, because I was sitting there, and Don Airy is the guy that wrote the arrangement. So he sent me that across. I'm going, oh crap! I've got the page sitting there all blank and laughing at me, and thought, well, what can I do? What can I call this thing? What can I write about? What can I write about? It's just a fucking song.
Wow.
It's just, but I said to Conrad, I said, I've got a great title. I said, what do you think about it's just a fucking song, about songwriting? And Conrad said, well, maybe it's a bit harsh, isn't it? I said, well, yeah, a bit. Okay, let's do the frickin' one. So that's what we did. And that song is about, writing a song and how frustrating it can be. And I say in there that it takes sometimes a month to write one song, but then when the song is actually recorded, it's 3 minutes long. So you go, oh, fucking hell. And so people think it took you 3 minutes to write the words and the lyric, whatever, and the melody, I should say. But it's a long time in process. And sometimes it takes me a long time, yeah, because I really want the words to sound good and sing good,
Yeah. The new record's called Day Out and Nowhere. And I got to tell you, I really like this record. Some of the flavors could be right there in the Shanker era, like Imposter or The Sky Is Alive. These are like really great hard rocking tunes, man. I enjoyed hearing this big time.
Oh, thank you. That's really, very nice of you. Yeah, those songs, there is a sort of a Shankerish rainbow flavor.
Absolutely.
Alcatrazz, whatever, because it's because of me, really.
Right.
Because I'm writing the songs, I'm singing the bloody things, and some of my input is from little arrangements I've got together for certain songs. A Day Out of Nowhere was my arrangement. That was all me. And then Conrad comes in and does his part. He wrote a middle part and a solo on that song. So that one was all me. So that is one song that started off on an acoustic guitar. Because it does have that Michael Schenker feel.
Big time. Yeah,
because it's a little like desert song. It has that. I started off making that up with a very similar riff to desert song. And it turned out to be the way it is now. But I was inspired by desert song a little bit. But it turned out completely different. But you wouldn't. It has that Schenker feel. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what I like about those songs, and you don't really get this anymore because of radio edits and people's ADD and everything, but I love a big intro, something that builds, like we're going somewhere. We're going to get into this tune, that da-da-da-da-da-da-da. It's like anthematic. It's building into something, and then it comes in, and you're like, God, this is great. Those are great songs to open a show with. like the curtain drops. It's this long intro. Then here comes Graham Bonnet walking out. You're like, oh, fuck yeah. You know, I love that in rock songs where it has a big intro, you know?
Yeah, but Conrad's very much into that as well. You know, what's going to happen after this is there's a song called Uncle John, which starts up with a little music box sound and then a nice little sweet bit he does. And it takes a while for the song to come in. Then suddenly the fucking drums go into this, let's say 3/4 time, because it's like waltz time. And that goes on for quite a bit. And then you think, oh, this is going to be a waltz? No, it isn't. Then we go back into 4/4. You know, that's one of my favorite tracks. We just did a video on that song, Uncle John.
That's great.
Yeah, it's really good.
I saw John Tempesta played on this. He's an old friend of mine. He played drums on a couple songs.
Yeah, he won one song. Yeah, he wrote that with his brother Mikey, and that came out pretty well. That was oh God, what did I call that? Yeah, When We're Asleep. Yeah, it's got this thing comes. Yes, it's sort of about when we're asleep, we get on so well. But what happens in the daytime? You know, but sometimes it's for everybody who has, you wake up and wonder, is today going to be a good day or a bad day with your partner? Doesn't matter if it's a girl or a guy, whatever. It's about a girl, obviously, in this. And, I say the opening line is, it's a wonderful day. I wonder who she'll be. You know, who will she be today? Is she going to be nice, or is she going to be on the dark side? You know, and sometimes that happens, which we all know, I think. Everybody who's in a relationship knows that. And you never know what's going to happen next day, because you can be fucking nailed to the bloody wall by someone who's supposed to love you like crazy. And you go, what happened? What happened? We've been asleep. We were fine. What happened during our sleep time and just getting up for 2 minutes and suddenly you're in trouble?
Yeah.
Well, it was yesterday. Yesterday you did this. What did I do? Oh, I forgot about that. I didn't put the dishes in the dishwasher in the right order or something like that.
You played with some great drummers, but can you give me a good Cozy Powell story? Because, oh my God, what a God he was.
Oh, fuck, Cozy. Yeah, bless him. He was one of my best friends, and I miss him terribly. I talk about him every day, and he's a little bit of a daredevil. He was always wanted to do something stupid. Really, I mean, that's one of the reasons, I think, why he was killed. He wasn't wearing a seatbelt. He'd been drinking, and he was driving 110 miles an hour.
Damn.
And he's on his way to see his girlfriend to propose to her. He wanted to marry this girl. He found someone at last, because Cozy was all over the place, with girlfriends. But that's the most awful story I'm telling you right now. But when that happened, it still does. It breaks my heart to think he's not here anymore, and we can say, "Oh, you want to do something? Let's go and play," whatever. But he always was doing something, a bit of a daredevil, as I said. And one day when it was in Rainbow, he wanted to scare somebody in their room. He wanted to come down the road from the top of the hotel to where he thought, I think it was our tour manager, was relaxing in the afternoon or whenever it was, or after the gig later. He got this rope and all the mountain climbing stuff, and most of the windows were open in this place. But this one, where he thought the tour manager wasn't. He broke through the window. He came down and swung through the window, and there's this couple in bed going, what the fuck? He got the wrong floor. He was on the wrong freaking floor. There was he had to pay a lot of money to these poor people, but he scared the shit out of them. And when we heard about this, it was just like, you stupid fucking idiot,
Oh my God.
But that was him. And I remember him saying, he always used to watch shit like jet planes going over. He said, "Oh, I'd love to drive one of those fucking things." And then another one was he wanted to climb the highest radio tower there is in the world. Can we find it somewhere? He said, "I'd be climbing that tomorrow." He just took so many risks. Well, I mean, coming down from the top of a damn hotel on a bloody road, what was he doing? Yeah. What was he thinking?
Just accidental Spider-Man.
yeah, exactly. He thought he was, immortal. And then what happened to him was horrible. The car turned over and landed on top of him.
Yeah.
He was thrown from the car, and the daredevil took it a little bit too far that day.
Yeah. What a tragic loss. He was one of the greatest
Absolutely.
metal rock drummers of all time.
Yeah, he was. I mean, as I said, I talk about him with Bethany just about every day, and she'll say, what would Cozy have done on this position? And photographs of me and him together that she likes to post on Facebook and things like that, because she knows how dear to my heart he was.
Yeah,
and I'm cracking up a little bit talking about him.
God.
But he really was. He was like another brother. Him and Don Airy, we were like the three musketeers. We're always together. We never sort of hung out with the other guys in Rainbow. We always had our own little things that we all enjoyed doing, and he was great. He was the best.
Can you tell me about that monumental Monsters of Rock at Castle Donington? You remember that day? How great was that?
It was in my mind every day. People always ask me, what moment would you remember for the rest of your life? And that was that, because when they put this show on, the owners of the race course, they thought, well, we put this on, we've got to get in touch with all the farmers. So they have to go around, making sure it'd be okay. And they told the farmers they'd get 8,000 people. And they're going, well, that's a lot of people, But okay, we'll let you do this. It's completely new. It had never been done before. It's like Woodstock, but in England.
Yeah.
And what happened was, it turned out that there was 100,000 people.
Wow.
And I was speaking to the owner's daughter, and he said that we couldn't believe it. We thought 8,000 was going to be it. And it turned out to be this massive, massive crowd. And I tell you, to walk out on that stage that night, the sound that came from that audience was like a jet plane landing. It was unbelievable. And we had great sound. I remember that night we had quadraphonic sound. So all our stuff was out there behind the audience and at the sides and, everywhere, And what a night that was. It's I don't think that will that happen again. I don't know. I don't think so. I think that was my my moment of glory, and that band was a moment of glory because they always talk about it, to this day.
Yeah.
Because it was just amazing. Can you imagine that? The noise of the crowd was louder than the band.
Oh, my God. And what's weird about Ritchie is to think about, he's got like 3 of those under his belt. He had the Cal Jam, the one where he rammed the guitar into the camera, and that was like 400,000 or something, some crazy thing. So he's got a few of those under his belt, which is really wild. And to think about Rainbow and Deep Purple, they were big, but they're not, giant. So it's wild to think about the level that he had reached, which is pretty amazing because it is a culty band, Rainbow and Deep Purple. Of course, Metallica loving Deep Purple and Lars. And I love Deep Purple. I love Perfect Strangers, I think is a great, great record.
Yeah. Well, they're out there doing it right now. They're on tour now. I heard from Don a couple of days ago. We're talking about the track. It's just a freaking song. And, it's my favorite track. Oh, dear. But, they're on the road right now. And so I spoke to him, as I say, probably a couple of weeks ago, wrote to him. And he's telling me what he's doing, etc. And he seems to be going pretty well. But I think the guitar player is ill. I'm not quite sure.
No, his wife is ill. Steve's wife is dying of cancer.
Steve Moore. Is that what it is?
I don't know if she's dying, but she has cancer apparently. And he said, I cannot be on the road away from her now.
So it's his wife. Yeah. Bethany just nodding. Yeah, it's his wife.
Yeah.
I didn't know what it was, but they didn't mention it, what actually, why he was off the road,
Right.
But that's understandable. So what they're doing now, I don't know if they've got another player. I don't know.
Yeah, they got a guy filling in, and
have they?
You just keep going. It's I'm hoping that you are going to tour this record. That would be fantastic. Just depends. We all know how crazy it is out there. If you get COVID, then you got to go off the road, and then you lose all this money. So it's a difficult time. But do you think you'll do an LA gig?
Well, I hope so. Eventually, we have some gigs already overseas, but we really want to play it in America somewhere, because we don't get to play it over here very much. It's always Japan, Australia, Europe, England, Ireland. We're not going to Ireland this time. No, we're going to Wales. But, it's always millions of miles away. And I'd like to get out of bed in the morning and say, oh, we've just got to go down the road to do the gig, instead of like, we got 12 hours on the plane and this now covered with a mask, which will be wonderful, But, I just hope things open up a bit for us. There is interest in this band. I've got a great band playing with me now. They're my friends. They're my very close friends, Bethany. And, I'm enjoying every minute of it. What's happening with me right now is I'm going to be recording with Jeff Loomis. I'm writing my version of Alcatrazz. Even though those other guys they're using the name, but that's not Alcatrazz. But it'd be called Graham Bonnet's Alcatrazz. Right. And Jeff Loomis he's written 6 songs, which I've completed myself with lyric and melodies. So we've got 6 down. We haven't started recording yet. We've got another 4 to go. We want to make it a 10 song album. But he's written some great stuff. It's very heavy, man. It's very heavy.
That's great.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to that. He's on tour right now, so he's doing his thing, like he does. That's where he's making his money. I couldn't ask him to join the band. I won't ask him to join the band. We got a great guitar player, and Conrado was fucking amazing. He's a really, really cool player, and I enjoy working with him. So I'm happy with what we're doing, but this will be something that's coming up, and probably our guitar player Conrad will be producing it. Because he's a Jeff fan as well.
Right.
But that guy's one of the best guitarists around. He really is.
That's amazing, man. Another Graham Bonnet's Alcatrazz. You got to love that old band battle. Hey, it was my name. Well, you were sleeping, so I copywrote it. See ya.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's what we're going through. It's a copyright thingy, but if it's called Graham Bonnet's Alcatrazz, I don't think they're going to get a look in. I've heard what they're doing, and thank you for the giggle. Thanks for the giggles.
Well, I mean, people are crazy out there. Bands are crazy. It's like, it's Graham Bonnet. That's the voice of the band, right? So what do you think?
I say, it's like when Ronnie was alive, saying, the band Dio. It's like suddenly, well, who's singing for Dio now? He's gone. It's because, as you said, this, and the words and the melodies come from me, and that was the sound. We developed that sound when I first put the band together, 10 million years ago, and it's something that I remember. Well, can we do all these harmonies? Is that the way to go? But I said I love doing harmony, and it would fit this song great, even though they were kind of heavy songs-ish. And I wrote about, the island in the sun and stuff like that, and Hiroshima, blah, blah, blah. It's all about real things. They thought, well, it's probably a bit too deep for some audiences, Why can't you just write about, the dragon and the dungeon and the sword of might, and chains and, you know what I mean? Fantasy, which I wasn't really into, even though I wrote one thing about Bigfoot. Which is a legend. Yeah.
Don't forget General Hospital.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That too. Yeah. Yeah. Well, again, General Hospital was a true story. But Bigfoot was probably one of the sort of fictional things I did. But I like to write about real stuff.
Over the years, any problems with the vocals, any vocal nodes or anything like that? Did you ever have to take a break?
No, I had a scratchy voice at one point. And it was annoying me where I'd be singing a song and this growl would come out and I wondered what it was. And I went to my throat specialist and he said, well, one of your vocal cords has collapsed. Wow. He said, you've been beating it up too much. It can only take so much bashing. And after a while, it will go, don't hit me anymore. And so he said, what I can do is put cortisone back into that muscle that is now not a muscle anymore. It's like like a flat balloon. Oh. He said, but the scarring will still be there from your, shouting your head off. And but this was about 7 years ago or something like that, and he put this stuff into me, and it repaired my voice. Now my singing voice is like it was when I was 30-something, 33, when I was in Rainbow. There's no difference, absolutely no difference whatsoever.
Do you have to get the shot like once a year or just one time?
No, it's done.
Wow.
This was a serious, operation procedure. That's a better word. That's a medical procedure where they put me under.
Wow.
And so I said to the doctor, I said, do I have to have this done again? He said, no, this will last for life, hopefully. But he said, if you have any problems, come back. But the scarring is still there, but it's not affecting my voice at all. And I'm really happy I did that. I mean, I was okay before I had it done, but there was just this tickle. It was annoying me. And, we're like, oh, God, what's that? And I found out, and now I'm very happy that I did.
Any warming up? Do you warm up all before you go out there and sing, or are you just old school, just tea and rocket or something?
Yeah, pretty much. I just go out there and hope for the best. If it doesn't work, I just say I'm human. Because that can happen. I never warm up. When we did the Michael Schenker thing, I heard the other guys, especially Robin McCauley. I heard him, doing all these funny noises. I'm going, Rob, what the hell are you doing? I said, gets to the vocal cord. All right, then. I don't think any of those exercises do any good at all. I don't know. I've never tried them, so I'm probably being a bit sarcastic about that. But it works for him, works for Rob, fine. But it just sounds so stupid. I'm going,
yeah,
doing ridiculous noises. I told him to shut up one day. Well, we can't shut up. Yeah, I love those guys. We had such fun on that show. We really did. Rob's a great singer. He really is. He's fantastic.
Gary Barden is fucking a smoker. I mean,
yes, he is a bit.
he's great, man. I love his records, man. And that was Michael's been very very lucky to have some great singers on these records over the years, and same with Ritchie. Ritchie had unbelievable track record with singers. Yeah. You ever talk to Ritchie?
No, not since Castle Donington. That was the last time I saw him. Last time I spoke to him.
Wow.
Yeah, all that time ago.
Wow.
When dinosaurs walked the earth, it's so long ago. And he's one of those people that doesn't really keep in touch. He's as I said, he keeps himself to himself. He's a very private person and can't be bothered with the music business when he's not actually working in it, when he's not actually on stage. He doesn't like signing autographs, as I said, Yeah. But he will, but it takes a bit of, but no, I mean, it's a long time. The only time I did hear from him, sort of, was from management. It wasn't actually from him a few, years ago now, where there was a check waiting for me in Ritchie's drawer in his house. He didn't call me about it. His manager did. And it was a nice check from Rainbow that I never received. So I got that. And that was really nice, actually.
Wow.
Good times. But Ritchie, I'd love to talk to him again. I really would. I'd like to have him play on a track or something. Whether we do that or not, it would be great. Well, Don did, but Don Airy is just an easygoing guy. I've been really close to him for all these years. So he would do it for nothing, and if Cozy was here, he'd say, oh, how many tracks do you want? Oh, how much is it going to cost? Fuck it. Fuck the money, man. He would do it because he loved playing, That was Cozy, and that's what Don is like,
Don is an underrated legend. This guy has played on some of the biggest tunes ever. You know what I'm saying? This guy, I mean, just the Aussie alone, unreal.
Yeah. Yeah, he had a great time with Aussie. That was a great time, for him as a keyboard player. He really came to the fore,
Yeah.
But as you say, nobody knows him that way. Not like John. John Lord. Everybody knew who John Lord was, but they don't know Don Airy. He's got a funny name for a start. Don Airy. What kind of a name is that? Change that name, Don. Don Bloody Airy. But it's also, I tell you who's like that too. Me. People don't know me. They know the song, but they don't know me. They don't know who's.
You're so right. Yeah. You're so right, man. It's funny because I grew up when I was growing up, and I was watching bands. I wanted to know who each guy in that band was, because you know what? There's a reason this band sounds like this. Oh, it's because Cozy Powell and Graham Bonnet and Don Irie and these dudes that can walk down the street and people don't know who they are. But, you know, they were so monumental in the 60s, 70s, and 80s of rock. And that's the reason a lot of these guys played on so many records, because they were so good, you know?
Yeah.
But you know, you're right, man. You've been in music all your life, which is a blessing, but it's also that weird thing of like, I mean, you had the hits with Rainbow, big time, you know, and you had that success. And then it's always like, how does people not know this guy's name, you know?
I don't know. It's strange. But I'm especially, well, I'm sort of known in England probably a bit better because I had some hits on my own with Cozy on drums. But I had like 2 singles that did really, really well for me. So, and at that time, which is years ago now, I couldn't walk down the street. Oh, Graham, how are you doing? You know, but now nobody knows who the fuck I am because I look different anyway. But I mean, when Rainbow was happening, it was a bit like that. You know, you couldn't walk down the street. Well, especially in Japan, I sort of noticed there was a bit of fan worship in England when we played Donington, because it had been advertised on the news and everything. I'd done a thing on the news, I think Cozy had. But Cozy said to me, he said, "You wait till we get to Japan." I said, "What do you mean?" Because I always felt like Japan was, you know, what happens there? They're Japanese. You know, what do you mean? He said, "You fucking wait." And when we went to Japan, when we arrived at the airport, there were bloody hundreds of kids waving like crazy. I mean, held back by whomever at the band. And we're going, what the hell? Well, I went, what the hell? Because I didn't expect it, you know. And in the hotel, the whole lobby was crowded with kids. Oh. And they followed us around town when we got into a cab. There'd be a line of cars behind us with these so-called fans in it. We go to a restaurant. All of a sudden, there's all these kids in the restaurant. It was like the freaking Beatles, you know. Oh, yeah. And when Cozy said, "You just wait till you go to Japan," it was right. And that's really where, you know, a lot of our fan base is, you know, the Graham Bonnet band is because of Rainbow, really, in a way.
Right.
But I've known some of the people there ever since Rainbow, and they're all getting old now and bringing their kids to the shows, you know. But it's incredible. They're great fans. They're probably the best in the world. Very, very dedicated.
Well, I just love that you're a lifer. That's what I love about you. It's like, hey, yeah, this isn't about fame. It's about being able to play music all your life. At the end of the day, that's really what it's about. When you lay down in bed, you go, you know what? I'm not swinging a hammer. I'm still making records. There's companies that'll put the records out. I can go tour. There's fans that'll come out. And at the end of the day, that's really what means something to me as being in the biz all my life now as a comedian. Yeah. You know, I'm making art. And I'm enjoying life, and I'm not miserable. I'm not a bitter dude of like, God, fucking should be huge. It's like, it's none of that. It's like, we're lucky to be here, and we're lucky to be alive, and we're lucky that people listen to what we do. And for that, I'm thankful, you know, and I'm glad that you're still making records, because this record has some incredible songs on it, and it's great. You. When somebody said, "You want Graham Bonnet?" I said, "Are you fucking kidding?" Absolutely. You know, like I don't have people on I don't dig on the show ever. So I was like, that's a must. I just saw him play a few years ago at the Whiskey. I've got to have him on. I saw him in Alcatrazz when I was a kid, you know.
So how old are you now? What's your age?
56. How old are you?
56. You old bastard.
Yeah.
I'm 74.
Fuck, great. You look great. You look great. You got hair. Your hair is great. I know.
It's great, though. I decided that it's about time to own up. I am old. I will go grey. And there's nothing wrong with that. Or is there? Some of my best friends are grey, you know. I'm watching all these guys that are kind of my age in other bands, and they're dyeing their hair black, you know, jet black. And it doesn't look right to me, you know. I used to dye my hair a couple of years ago. I did dye it darker. But because I thought, oh crap, I'm going grey. That, you know, I'm not going to look the same or something. But I realize I do look the same-ish, but I'm older. and everybody knows I'm older. You know, that's what one of the songs is about on the video. The Imposter. I'm looking in the mirror and I'm going, wait a minute, who are you? You know, that first video we did. So you know, it's you have to own up to it eventually.
Yeah,
you can't do it because your skin tone changes, and when these guys have this black hair, they look like ghosts or bag ladies or something. They look like old ladies, not like old men, because your skin changes. It lightens up along with this. Your hair, you know.
Yeah. The record is called Day Out in Nowhere. May 13th, coming out. Fantastic. Check out the track Imposter. I love this. The Sky is Alive. Graham Bonnet, it was fantastic to have you on. And I've been listening to you all my life. You're a great singer, and you've been a good inspiration to me over the years on how to write some lyrics and sing with soul. So thank you so much, man.
Thank you. Well, thank you for that very large compliment.
Yes.
That's very nice. Very nice.
Love you, brother.
Thanks,
and I will see you
likewise.
soon. All right.
Yeah. All right, bud. See you later, man.